What's poppin', y'all? How we doing? Haven't been filming as much. Been really busy, and also my phone ran out of memory, and so I am a little bit challenged with technology. But I figured it out. Bought some more storage space in the old cloud. So I don't know, whatever. Anyways, let me show you what I've been working on. So we're back on the chopper. As you can see, some things have changed. The tank that we got from Alchemy came out awesome. But after we got it mounted up on the bike, me and Josh both agreed that the shape just was not what we were looking for. So we ended up getting this coffin tank from Lowbrow. And honestly, I think it was the best decision. I think this tank looks freaking awesome on this bike. You know, it's kind of got the angles like how the oil bag does, a little bit sharper, obviously. I don't know if I showed this yet, but I got this top motor mount made up. It's gonna have the hole for the key and also for the ignition coil. That's all mounted up. Got our exhaust in from Lowbrow. We were originally gonna do some up sweeps, but you know, B's gonna be on the back of this thing and kind of didn't want her to burn her ass. So we ended up running some, I guess you'd call these like shotgun pipes. But what's nice is they're already chrome, they're already done. Got the passenger peg mounts done. Integrated our exhaust hanger with some chain, baby. Yesterday, I made this little doohickey. Pretty sweet little coffin air cleaner to kind of match with our tank vibes here. So yeah, I'm pretty excited how this thing's turning out. This is the last day I'm gonna have really of fabrication. Everything on this bike has to be broken down for chrome and powder coat, and hopefully nothing goes wrong with that because this thing's gotta be done and ready for a photo shoot in a week. First thing I'm gonna do today though is address this. Now, I like this brake setup. I think I got this from Lowbrow. Originally, I was just gonna mount it up here and kind of like up top. I don't like when they're down below. I don't know, it just doesn't seem right to me. I know a lot of people do it. This is a great product, but we're actually going to be making our own caliper bracket. What I wanna do is have the caliper up top, but have the brake stay down below. I think it's gonna look clean like that. So let me show you what I'm gonna do. So I went ahead and picked up this nice piece of 3/8 plate. It's the same width as that plate. This is what they call a tooling plate, which means it's been blanched ground flat. That's why it's got this kind of strange finish. Essentially, I'm gonna take these 2 points and this point and translate it onto here. But instead of having the brake arm up top, we're gonna have it come down below. Now, I come from a machinist background. This is layout fluid. It's kind of like a dye, and it's really good for kind of drawing out things you're gonna do on aluminum. You draw this out, or you spray this down with it, and then you basically trace your part with a scribe, and it scratches off the blue and leaves you with a good line to cut. So let me show you. Now we've got the Dykem on there. As you can see, it's a nice bright blue. I probably should have cleaned the sticker residue off first, but it is what it is. So we'll let that dry, and then we'll pop this off and trace it on there. So what's important is this dimension in between here and this contour, and obviously this where the axle goes. Now I'm gonna measure from here to here, to figure out our distance, and that's actually gonna end up being like over here. So I'm gonna use one of my handy dandy transfer punches that fits right in there. Transfer that guy. Hopefully I can get a swing on it with the damn clamp in the way. And then we're gonna use our scribe to mark out that hole. I already have a 3/4 inch hole saw that I'm gonna use to cut that out. Alrighty, so we've got our line. Let's see if I can get a good one. A line for the brake caliper spot scribed. There's our axle. Now what I'm gonna do is take this bracket, so I have this distance here, I'll line this back up, a decent measurement for this hole. So it will be the same distance from the axle, providing the same amount of leverage and strength, but on the bottom side of it. So now we've got our brake stay mount. There's our axle hole. There's our 2 caliper holes. That's what we're looking at. So now we got to figure out what we're gonna do to line these guys up. I think I'm just gonna shoot a straight line across. I think that'll be good. And now we have our general shape of what we're gonna do. I'm gonna get this piece cut out and we'll hold it up to the bike and see what it looks like. We drilled our hole for the brake stay. Here's our hole for the axle. Don't really like the finish on that, but it is what it is. That's the hole for the caliper. I also went ahead and put a drill bit through so that we can get this radius right. But yeah, so now we're gonna cut out the rest of this thing, and I gotta tap these holes for the caliper. She'll be good to go. All right, I don't know what happened to the camera, but it cut off, but yeah. So this thing fits. Got it sanded down. Probably gonna end up having to clean this hole up a little bit. It's not the nicest finish, but we'll see. This may be a little too long for my liking. I don't know, but we're gonna find out here in a sec. And here's the finished product. I like it. It's a little long. That's okay. It's still above the rim. So nice chain brake stay for this thing next. But came out pretty good. Not mad about it at all. What it do, party people? How are we doing today? I'm doing pretty damn good. We're coming to the end of this project, so I'm getting everything prepped for polish and for chrome. So let me show you what I've been working on. The bike is totally and completely stripped down, almost to the front. Gotta take the rear tire off. I'm working on the front end right now, getting the legs shaved. I wanted to show you guys how I like to do it. So check this out. So what I like to do first is, there you go. Take that little screw out. That's a drain hole for the fork fluid. Honestly, most of the time they just get stuck in there. So we're gonna weld that up real quick and grind it down. Make sure when you take the screw out that you grind this bung down and then weld it. Otherwise, when you go to grind that flat, you could end up just grinding through your weld. And the hole is welded up. It's not the prettiest, but it doesn't matter. It just needs to fill the hole. The time lapse didn't catch it, but I actually cleaned that hole out with brake cleaner and caught my table on fire for a second, so that was fun. Anyways, next thing I'm gonna do is obviously grind that hole flat, and then we'll bring it over the bench and get shit cut off. Got her all ground down. Now I know this looks kind of rough, but the big thing is you want to make sure that you're keeping it kind of flat with the surface and going back and forth. You don't want to do this number. That's when you put divots all over this thing and make it look like shit. But yeah, so that's the basic of it. And then we will go back with our, excuse my messy workbench, go back with our DA and clean this up. So we finished with the DA. Now obviously, it's still rough. It's not polished. Depends on what finish you want to go with. I just sanded this to 220. This is getting sent out to be polished. I've polished things before, and I don't know if I suck at it or what, but it always takes me forever. So definitely going to pay somebody to do it. Another option that I did on this other side is like a wire wheel finish. It's kind of like a brushed aluminum finish. Some people like that look, but this is gonna get completely polished up, just like the other one. So, yeah, that's pretty much it. You don't need a lathe to do this. You can do this without a lathe. You just gotta take your time. So yeah, enjoy, get to chopping.
Several days later.
What's going on? This is Yeti from the Yeti Cam. Robert isn't here tonight. It is actually past my usual time working, but we are in the home stretch, as you can see, of this here chopper build. Let me show you what we got. Got the motor all shined up, ready to put back together. Check out all these parts I just got back from polishing. Ooh, baby. She's shiny. So, we got all our polished parts back. We've got all our powder coat back. Look at that fucking finish on that powder coat, dude. Really hyped on how this thing's looking. We're in the assembly stage now. This is when all the pretty stuff comes back. So, anyways, yeah. Sorry I haven't posted in a couple weeks. I have just really been too busy to film. I don't know. Maybe I'm just crazy and I've had anxiety trying to get this thing done. But we're on the home stretch now, so party on. Last night I had a plan of getting this thing as a roller, but I ran into a problem. I got the front end put back together and polished legs are looking mighty fine. I don't know if we're gonna go with the Gators or not, but anyways. So I got the top race in. Obviously the frame's upside down. This is the other race. And usually the race would just sit down there. You press that in, you'd be good to go. But I ran into a little bit of a problem. So I'm using a Pro 1 Performance internal fork stop kit. And when I went to go drive the race in, tragedy struck. So there's supposed to be a little tab there. And that tab actually locks into these slots for the fork stop. But when I was driving this thing in, and I don't know if it's my fault or what the hell happened, but basically as this thing was going in, that little tab kind of hangs over the side. So as it was going in, I think we ran out of space and it snapped it off. So luckily, I'm gonna get a new race from Pro 1 tomorrow, which sets me back a little bit. I really wanted to get this thing as a roller, but it is what it is. So what I'm gonna do is probably, which is a little sketchy because it's brand new powder coat, but I'm actually gonna grind this down. This lip doesn't do anything. The race sits in this shoulder. This is just machining. You can see when this neck was machined, we're a lot thicker here than we are here. So I don't know back in the 90s what they were doing, but be wary of this distance here, because if this distance is more than the clearance of that tab, you will snap it off. This is a hardened steel race, but if you know anything about hardened steel, it is very strong and very hard, but it is brittle. And yeah, kind of bummed on that, but that's okay. We got other shit to do, obviously. So let's go back over here to the motor. I basically stripped it down for polish, and it was pretty greasy, pretty nasty, but I cleaned it up. I got the motor all wire wheeled and used some real high temp aluminum paint. Some people will hate on that, and I really don't care because I think it looks really good. This motor was running fine when it was pulled. There was no reason for me to tear it down, and frankly, we just don't have the time. So next thing I'm gonna do is get our cam chest back together. Took the oil pump apart, cleaned it up real well, gave the side a little polish, cleaned up the fittings. So we're gonna get that back in right now. All right, so we've got our oil pump installed. We've got the line that goes into the filter housing installed. So the next thing we're gonna do is reinstall our camshafts. A lot of people are a little nervous doing Sportster camshafts, and I understand why. There's 4 of them. Most bikes only have 1 or 2 if you have a twin cam. So first and foremost, it's very similar to the Evo. As you can see, there's lines on all these camshafts that give you references of where to go. The other thing is, if you look on the back of these cams, they're marked. This is your number 1 cam. This is your number 2 cam, 3, and 4. There we go. So, first thing you're gonna do is make sure that you clean these things off. You're going to be installing your number 1 camshaft first. I'm gonna slap that guy in there. Now, we are going to rotate this thing so
that line points at the center line of the rear cylinder intake bushing. The second cam we're going to be installing is going to be our number 3. This is going to be our intake on the front cylinder. Got her all lubed up. Slide that into the bushing. Wait, did I go the right way? Yeah. Okay, there we go. Now we're going to do the same with pointing this towards the center line. You can use a straight edge, and I probably will, but this is just for the video. All right, and third, we're going to be putting in the front cylinder exhaust cam. All right, now the front cylinder exhaust cam has this little dot, and you need to line up. Let's see if we can, there we go, Jeff. This is hard to do with one hand here. So you need to line up these two. Bada boom, bada bing, and we're there. Now, last but not least, is going to be our main drive cam. This drives the rest of these camshafts. So you have a small mark on the crank, if I can get it, right there, okay? That one is going to line up this bottom dot, I think. Yeah, this bottom dot. This dot here is going to line up with that little notch. And then this dot here, we can get a good zoom, is going to line up with that notch. I'm not going to show me putting this in because, yeah, I'm not going to be able to do it with one hand. Hold tight. Alrighty. So, we've got our cams lined up. That's our front number 1 cam. That's our rear cylinder exhaust cam. We've got the main cam lined up with the crank. We've got the front cylinder intake cam aligned with the drive cam, and we've got the front cylinder exhaust cam lined up. Now, one thing to note, if you have this type of nut on your pinion, you may run into a problem depending on where the flat of this nut is, that it won't allow you to actually, if you look, I can't actually get, oh, now it's working. Hang on, I'll show you what I was fighting with before. So, say you're in this position. See how that tooth is hitting that nut? So, when you put it in, you actually have to spin it past where it lines up. Just make sure when you set it in position that all of the dots and lines line up. Pretty simple cam install. Well, obviously it's a little bit more intricate than doing the EVOs, but it's not too bad. All right, so now that the cams are in, the next thing we're gonna do is our cam cover. Now this one's been shaved. Not shaved as much as a lot of people shave them, because I wanted to match the contour of my sprocket cover. Shave the sprocket cover as well. So I think it looks pretty good. Also, because of how this thing is shaved, we aren't going to have access to this vent hose after this is put on. So make sure that you put your hose on, especially if it's a stock one, you definitely aren't going to have room. And I've been guilty of this, but you need to go get yourself a set of crimp-on clamps and the tool. I just picked this up on Amazon with this tool kit. I don't remember how much it was, but it wasn't bad. Number one, in my opinion, they look cleaner. It's second to using like AN lines. And number two, they just tend to last better, in my opinion, than like the screw type clamps. They take up less room. It's just a cleaner look. So for the oil lines, we're going to be using these crimp-on type clamps. We got our gasket prepped. We sprayed it on both sides with our copper spray gasket. To me, I like to use this on anything that's paper. I've explained this in other videos before, but it just promotes better adhesion and makes them a little sticky in situations where the gasket's going to be sitting vertical. It kind of holds it onto the surface a little bit better when you're trying to get everything in. Got to make sure that we give ourselves a nice, healthy dose of assembly lube.
These are not new cams. These are the cams that came out of this bike. I did not, this is not a rebuilt motor. This is just the stock motor. Like I said, it ran really well. Anytime I take an engine apart and dry it out, get all the oil out of it, even if it's not new, assembly lube is a good idea, and it just helps everything go on easier. Let's get that cleaned off. Obviously, you want to make sure your gasket surface is clean. We are good to go. I'm not going to film myself putting the cam cover on. It's pretty self-explanatory. You have a dowel pin here, you have a pinion here. That's how it lines up, and then you got all your different screws. So, cam cover is on. There's a little bit of pain in the ass getting on, not going to lie, because you got to line up this guy. There's a cam there, there's a cam there, there's a cam there, there's the pinion, there's a dowel pin back here, and another one over here. But we got it in. So one thing I like to do is get everything hand tight, and then go back one at a time and put Loctite. I use blue Loctite on stuff like this, on little fasteners that may or may not need to come out. And then go ahead and retorque everything. But yeah, that's it for the cam. But it's gonna look really clean, I think, with the sprocket cover on there too. So, yep. Party on, Wayne. What up, y'all? This is Yeti from the future. If you follow me on Instagram and TikTok and social media, you know the bike is already done. But we have documented this whole process, and on this video you just watched, I hadn't really filmed an outro. So thank you so much for watching. We're up to 700 something subscribers as of today. If you don't already, go follow me on Instagram and TikTok. If you want to support me, hit up my website, www.yetimachinecode.com. This next episode, we'll be doing the wiring, and you'll be able to see this bike get wired and fired. So super hyped to share this with you guys, and have a great day.